talking about them, but of course we're not. Phoenix Suns. Yeah, we know they finished 11th. They're not going to the playoffs. And then it happened. They're paying a third coach not to work. 3 in 3 years. The highest payroll in NBA history. They got nothing. They got no assets. There's really no light at the end of the tunnel. It was on the board, Lou, that perhaps maybe, but they did it. Like, what's the plan here?
We'll watch just like everybody else. But, you know, this is the first stepping stone of them moving forward and trying to get this thing back on track. You know, Bud wasn't the guy for the job, and obviously that showed with some of the body language and some of the things that we saw on the sideline with his veteran players. You know, once you lose the locker room or lose the respect of those guys just based on the optics and the things that I saw, it's going to be hard for you to continue on. And so with that firing, I think that's just the first block of many moves to be made.
Fair.
Yeah, like I understand something has to change, and you have this much talent, and you fail, and you don't even make the play-in. But just business-wise and optics, this is a horrible look, man. You go from firing Monty Williams to Vogel to this dude. Now you're paying him $10 million a year for the next 4 years.
It's amazing.
Like this just shows me how much there was a disconnect here, though, and the relationship obviously was not great with him and the current players. And I looked at Devin Booker. I think he's their longest tenured guy. He's the guy going forward. He's the one guy that I would think that they would try to move last.
Yeah.
And clearly he was okay with this. And I'm assuming there's some dialogue, maybe even with KD on his future and things like that. But just bad business to me, honestly. I hate the whole coaching, hiring, and firing. It's a cold business. But I don't know if I look to this team or this season and be like, you know what, they suck this year because Bud. I don't know if that's the problem.
I wish one of you wanted to coach this team because it's like just go in, put 8 months of work and get paid.
I would love to coach this team and get fired and get $10 million for 5 years. I would love that gig.
Dream. That's why I'm kind of pushing for one of you to do it. The book thing is interesting. By the way, this piece of information, Devin Booker has had 7 coaches since being drafted in 15, and this next guy will be his 8th, which is
tough.
So I'm wondering how much of it has to do with that. There was also the story that Chris Haynes came out with that earlier in the season, Bud asked Bradley Beal to play like Jrue Holiday. I don't know much, but telling a dude to play like another dude is not it. Maybe he worded it incorrectly. I don't know. Like, Lou, is there a way to defend Bud's advice here? Like, what is that?
No, I think he realized he had a lot of guys that could score the basketball, and he need more utility guys opposed to that. And who's going to be the odd guy out? Like, you're not going to ask Devin Booker to be the guy that goes out and defends and be a 3-and-D guy. You're not going to ask Kevin Durant to do it, so who's the odd man out? It was Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is the guy that he asked that, and that's not the reason that you brought him to Phoenix. You brought Bradley Beal to Phoenix to be exactly who he was in Washington. He's a bucket. He's a guy that can go out there and score the basketball. You can put the ball in his hands at any given time and go win you basketball games. And so when you bring a coach in that kind of deviates away from the mission statement, that deviates away from the plan that was originally set for you. Like, I get it. When you're a player, different things need to happen when you start dealing with some adversity. Like, you have to make some adjustments. I don't think this was the one. And so from top to bottom, I think it was a bad mix of guys on this team. It wasn't a clear-cut pecking order with roles and what was expected. And this was Bud's way of trying to figure that out, and it blew up in his face.
Yeah, there's other, like Royce O'Neal is that kind of guy, the dirty work. The Ryan Dunn, the rookie. It's not a Bradley Beal. It's not a guy with that has all the leverage and the no trade clause. Not the guy making $50+ million the next couple of seasons. So I don't understand this. But again, it's hard to point at Bud as the blame for all this, but I mean, Jesus, they have to create some sort of identity and culture, and firing 3 coaches in 3 years is just a horrific look. Like, there's no stability, there's no consistency with leadership, and it starts and ends with the head coach. And I don't care how much talent, how many players they bring in, it's just a mess there without a head coach every single year. Like, what are we doing?
But, like, if you're an aspiring, and I'm genuinely asking this question, if you're an aspiring coach somewhere out there, you're not like a household name yet, but do you also, like, look at this potential job as, hell yeah, hire me? Because at the worst case, you fire me.
Fire me and I get paid for nothing?
Like, I mean, are you looking at this job for all the wrong reasons
right now? If I'm Bud, I'm peace out. I've double dipped. I'll do some TV, and I'm out of here. And you can double dip, do whatever. I'm just saying. But even if you don't get another head coaching job, this money he's set financially forever.
He could take a break, for sure.
Take a break. And again, I think He's getting older. I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get again, but who cares?
But do you feel if you're Bud, hey, I'm better than whatever this appearance looks
100%.
like? So you're going to want to have another shot quicker rather than chilling?
I think he chills for a second.
I think he should. I don't think he should jump back into anything.
Was this your second fired in, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
Right? And now I'm getting paid for the rest of this decade, basically. Why stress myself out with these things? Why be criticized for something that I can do at home in front of my TV with a beer in my hand?
40 mil.
Yeah, just coach from the couch, coach.
I'll take it. I will take it. And by the way, Sham, shout out, reporting that the Suns are still expected to work with KD's business partner, Rich Kleiman, to find his next landing spot this summer. So, does any of what has just happened make KD think about sticking around, or are we still, that ship has sailed?
I think so. I think when you get rid of the guy who you could physically see him getting into it with a lot of games and the banter, that wasn't normal competitive juices flowing. You could tell there was a disconnect between Kevin Durant and Bud. That doesn't take a genius to figure that out. The game we went to in Austin,
you said
during
that.
the play, this dude was just chirping at him back and right. He's kind of waving him off during timeouts. You don't do that to a head coach consistently that you respect. So I think this definitely is a step in the right direction. And I don't even blame Ishbia. I think he's a new, young owner that is just thirsty to try and figure this out. And obviously, optics and business-wise, they just keep recycling through these coaches, but he's trying to figure it out. And
it's very expensive lesson.
But it is, man, it is. They got to figure out something soon. But I do think, if anything, I would think this would make KD want to stay more, that they're actually doing something that he would maybe want and getting rid of Bud.
Okay, so yes, but we've gone through the fact that they don't have assets, that they're the highest payroll in the history of the league. So even if you were to stay, like if the 3 stars stayed, that's a big if, why would you want to, Lou? Because what would be different, number one? I don't know that changing a coach changes the whole vibe of this team. Why would you want to stay?
The only logical thing I can think of is you're talking about 3 Supermax guys with pride.
Okay.
And all of their legacies are on the line. Like Kevin Durant, this is a legacy piece. Devin Booker, this is a legacy piece, as well as Brad Beal. So if I'm these 3 guys, the only logical thing I can think of is we got to make this right. We got to clean this up. Like, this can't be the only shot that we get at this thing to make Phoenix a winner again. You know, and so removing Bud from that, you still have a lot of different things that you got to address. Like, at the end of the day, your coach, you do follow his lead. But those guys are veteran enough, good enough basketball players. They should have went out there and been good for 40 games alone, just on talent by itself. And so with that, you got to look in the mirror. All of these guys got to look in the mirror. And so when they do that, do they see that future collectively? Do they? When I look in the mirror, do I see these guys right there with me? Now, that's going to be the question that remains. But the only reason I think they will run this possibly back is this leaves a bad taste in all of their mouths, and they want to get an opportunity to correct this.
To me, Bradley Beal, he's going to be the odd man out, right? I think he's the one up, but he's got the most leverage. He's got the player.
Crazy.
You know, he's got the deal there. But I mean, $50 million for 17 points a game, like that's, again, his stats took a hit this year, which I think is obviously scaring more teams away even more. But I do think he still has a lot left in the tank and a lot left to contribute. But I just don't know if it's going to be in Phoenix.
I really don't know what this light at the end of the tunnel is supposed to be. It's hard to find at this moment. We're going to take a quick break. More Run It Back on the other side.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up.